good morning everyone. This is Parveen. Today in this particular session, this is the first session of class 10 Civics chapter 1 power sharing. Now in this particular chapter, before starting with the chapter, first we need to understand what is power sharing. Power sharing, see, as if we'll have an example of power sharing, we can say that in your 8th standard you have learned about the features of constitution, in which we have seen that in our constitution constitution has given one rule of division of power. Now what is division of power? Division of power means, before when we talk about when we are having king's rule, then after king's rule we have Britishers who ruled upon India on 150 years. On that time, at the time of king, power is in the hand of king. Ruling power is in the hand of king. At the time of Britishers, power is in the hand of Britishers. Ruling power is in the hand of Britishers. Now when we see king's rule or Britishers rule, we can see that power control was in one hand. It is in one hand, because of which there is a misuse of power many times. That is why when India got independence, our leaders, when they make constitution, they decided that there should be a rule through which power should not be concentrated in one hand, but it should be divided. That is why in India we are having division of power, and we have seen that we are having 3 degrees of government or 3 levels of government, that is legislature, executive and judiciary. That means power is divided between these 3 levels of government, which is called as power sharing. Power sharing means when ruling power is not in one hand, but it is divided between different level of government or different groups. That is called as power sharing. Now in this particular chapter we will see that why power sharing is important. Now to see why power sharing is important, this chapter has given us 2 factual cases, in which we can see that there is no power sharing, because of which there is a misuse of power and how people get exploited. So over here we are having 2 case studies, 2 factual case studies of Belgium and Sri Lanka. Now in this particular chapter we will see, or we will take an example of Belgium and Sri Lanka to understand what is power sharing, to understand why we need power sharing. So to start with, the first topic is ethnic composition of Belgium and Sri Lanka. Now what is ethnic composition? Ethnic composition means, see, as we live in India, we say that India is having unity in diversity. What do we mean by unity in diversity? Unity in diversity means that in India, or we say that India is a secular state or secular country. Why we are saying that? Because in India we are having different kind of people who speaks different kind of languages, who have different kind of religion, who have different kinds of culture, values. That means we are having unity in diversity. There are different kinds of people who follow different kinds of religion, different kinds of culture, who speaks different kind of languages. Okay, so when we are talking about ethnic composition, or when we talk about ethnic group means a group of people who have same, maybe they have same religion, maybe they have same language, maybe they have same culture, or maybe they have same ideas. So the group who is having same religion, maybe they are having same ideas, same caste, you can say they speak same language, they are called as ethnic group. Like this, India is having different ethnic groups. That is called as ethnic group. Now when we are talking about India, when we talk about ethnic composition in India, we can say that in India, Hindus are more in majority. Ethnic group. We are having Hindus, Muslims, Christians, then we are having Sikhs, Parsis. These are the ethnic groups in India. And when we are talking about ethnic composition, we can say that Hindus are in majority and Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, they are in minority. That means their population is less in India and Hindus population is more in India. So over here same thing we will see in Belgium and Sri Lanka. Ethnic composition of Belgium and Sri Lanka. That means what different kind of ethnic groups are there in Sri Lanka and Belgium, and what are their composition. That means if they are in majority or if they are in minority. That is called as ethnic composition. First we will see ethnic composition of Belgium. Now when we talk about Belgium, in Belgium there are 3 ethnic groups on the basis of language they speak. Ethnic groups are divided on the basis of language they speak. So over here there are 3 ethnic groups in Belgium. Dutch speaking people, then French speaking people or German speaking people. Now when we talk about Dutch speaking people, there are 59% of population who speaks Dutch and they live in the Flemish region of Belgium. 40% people speaks French and they live in Wallonia region in Belgium, and 1% people speaks Germany. As on that time, as we have seen on the time of Hitler tries to extend the territory of Germany. That is why what happens, there are different small groups of people who lives in different areas of Europe and they speak German because their territory extended, or people leave Germany and they go to other places, or they share boundaries with other places or other countries. That is why in Belgium also there are 1% of people who speaks German. So over here when we talk about ethnic groups, there are 2 main ethnic groups in Germany. One is Dutch speaking people and another one is French speaking people. There is 40% of population who speaks French and 59% of people who speaks Dutch. And Dutch people lives in Flemish region and French people lives in Wallonia region. But when we talk about capital city of Belgium, that is Brussels. In Brussels, Dutch and French, both people are live. Dutch speaking people are also there and French speaking people are also there. But when we are talking about capital city of Belgium, Brussels, 80% people speaks French and 20% people speaks Dutch. So over here when we talk about the ethnic composition of Belgium, we can say that there are 2 ethnic groups in Belgium. One speaks Dutch and another one speaks French. That means there are 2 ethnic groups on the basis of language, Dutch speaking people and French speaking people. There was 59% population who speaks Dutch and 40% population who speaks French. And Dutch speaking people lives in Flemish region and French speaking people lives in Wallonia region. And there is 1% of population who speaks German or German language. So when we are talking about the ethnic composition, over here we can say that Dutch speaking people is in majority and French speaking people is in minority in Belgium. Because Dutch speaking people is 59% and French speaking people is 40%. But when we see the capital city of Belgium, that is Brussels, over here it is vice versa. Minority is more and majority is less. As we have seen that in Belgium, Dutch speaking people is in majority and French speaking people is in minority. But when we talk about capital city of Belgium, Brussels, here majority is in minority. 20% people speaks Dutch and minority is in majority. 80% people speaks French. So over here when we talk about the ethnic composition of Belgium, we can see that there are 2 ethnic groups. One is Dutch speaking people or another one is French speaking people. 59% people speaks Dutch and 40% people speaks French, and there is 1% population who speaks Germany, and Dutch speaking people lives in Flemish region and French speaking people lives in Wallonia region. But in the capital city of Brussels, French speaking people is more and Dutch speaking people is less. That is 80% of people speaks French and 20% of people speaks Dutch. So overall when we talk about the ethnic composition of Belgium, we can say that Dutch speaking people are majority in country and French speaking people is in minority. But when we talk about capital city, French speaking people is in majority and Dutch speaking people is in minority. So over here there is an unequal distribution of population when we talk about ethnic groups in Belgium. In the same way, when we talk about ethnic composition of Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka also there are two groups. There are two groups, and we can say that ethnic composition of Sri Lanka is on the basis of language and religion both. We have seen that in Belgium, ethnic composition is on the basis of language only. But over here, when we are talking about Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka, ethnic composition is on the basis of language and also on the basis of religion. Now, when we are talking about ethnic groups in Sri Lanka, there are two ethnic groups in Sri Lanka on the basis of language, that is Sinhala speaking people and Tamil speaking people. Now, when we are talking about Sinhala speaking people is 74%. 74% of population in Sri Lanka on that time speaks Sinhala and 18% of population speaks Tamil. But when we are talking about the Tamil speakers, they have divided between two. There is Sri Lankan Tamilians or Indian Tamilians. 13% are Sri Lankan Tamilians and 5% are Indian Tamilians. And when we are talking about the Indian Tamilians, they have been divided between Hindus and Muslims. Tamil speaking people, they have been divided into Hindus and Muslims. So over here we can say that when we are talking about the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka, there are two groups. There are two ethnic groups on the basis of language, that is Sinhala speaking people who are 74% and Tamil speaking people who are 18%. And from that 18%, 13% speaks Sri Lankan Tamil or 5% speaks Indian Tamil. And when we talk about the religion, most of the Sinhala speaking population, their religion is Buddhism. They are Buddhist. And Tamil speaking population, they follow two religions, Hindus and Muslim, Hinduism and Islam. Then 7% of population are there in Sri Lanka who are Christians and they speak both the languages, Tamil and Sinhala. So they have divided between both Tamil and Sinhala. So over here when we say the Sri Lankan ethnic composition, we can say that Sinhala speaking people are in majority and Tamil speaking people are in minority. That means Buddhism. The main religion in Sri Lanka was Buddhism on that time because they are in majority, and minority religions are Hinduism, Islam and Christianity. So this is the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka and Belgium. In our next session, we will see how the power has been divided between these ethnic groups in Belgium and Sri Lanka and how it affects the political system over there. Thank you.